We are 22S Radio. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 88.1 FM, KKJZ HD3, Long Beach, Los Angeles.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, and now, all world broadcasting tag team champions of the world and a cruiserweight champion.
I'm Ethan.
I'm James.
I'm Rob.
And this is episode 171. It's 171. Yay, we did it. All right, up beyond the ropes, we are BTR Pro Wrestling Talk. I'm your host, Ethan, joined alongside the analyst, James Williams, and producer, Rob Flores. You can find me on Twitter at EthanEmy95. You can follow James at
JHW Reporter.
And you can follow Rob at
Rob Flores Media, and don't forget the R-Truth DMs for Ethan.
And, well, I just woke up from a nap, so I don't know what we're going to discuss, but we're going to figure it out. Very productive week. We're going to figure out what to discuss. First.
Hey, no one got released.
Another person got released? Who got released?
No one got released.
Well, someone's contract wasn't renewed. You hear this?
I think I know. Are they not in NXT, right?
No. Oh.
Yeah, okay. I know you're talking about.
All right. First, Facebook.com / Beyond the Ropes. That's where you're going to find us. Going back to Twitter at RealBTR Radio. I tweeted something interesting. I mean, decently interesting the other day. You can find us on YouTube. 170 episodes currently uploaded to the YouTube. And how could I forget? Before we move on any further, it's time to acknowledge the head of the table. The best, the end all be all. The tribal chief.
Bret the Hitman Hart.
The universal champion.
Bret the Hitman Hart.
The tribal king. Roman Reigns.
The Hitman Hart.
So I look at that. Throw them up. The ones.
No.
Throw them up, Rob? James, are you throwing them up? Are you going to acknowledge your tribal chief this week?
I'm not throwing anything up anywhere.
You know, it was Thanksgiving last week.
Yeah. I didn't see a picture of you having him at the head of the table. So,
well, there was no one sitting at the head of the table. Obviously, he wasn't there. He was at probably his own family's, head of the table. But there was no one sitting at my head of the table. So, out of respect, of course, for Roman Reigns, that's right. The Funko Pop could have been sitting at the head of the table. I wasn't in, I didn't have him with me, but if I did, he would have been there. I'm sure he had a delicious meal. My meal was delicious.
Can I ask you the tough question?
Okay.
What did you buy for Cyber Monday and or Black Friday? I know you bought something you had to have. Believe
it or not, I don't think I bought anything this Black Friday or Sunday.
Lying.
I'm not kidding you. I was disappointed in myself. So Friday I was supposed to go out shopping. Didn't happen. I was like, okay.
Why did it not happen? Because I wanted to go Black Friday shopping too, but I wasn't into it this year. Huh?
It didn't feel like Black Friday to me.
It didn't, and I was kind of under the impression, and from the things that I'd seen, it was kind of like stores maybe weren't open yet, and part of me just thinks like it would probably be hit or miss anyways, just because at least when I look at something like the way like fast food restaurants, a lot of them have for hire signs out, and people not really interested in working right now for whatever reason. I feel like it would probably be the same thing at some of these retail stores, and they wouldn't be able to stay open for as long as they would throughout a normal Black Friday, or just even be able to staff that many people. So I just kind of sadly passed on this and kind of looked around online, but there still wasn't anything too crazy for me to go ahead and pull my wallet out for.
I didn't think there was any crazy deals, for movies. Like I like to buy movies, but there wasn't any really movies I wanted to buy. Not like Walmart or Best Buy or Target really had anything I was interested in. And then anything else I would probably buy, I would didn't really see much. Cyber Monday, I didn't really look too much into any deals. Maybe WWE Shop, but I didn't buy anything.
I think WWE Shop even had something like their sale rolled over into Tuesday, but
Yeah, I didn't grab anything. So it was a weak year for the Black Friday / Cyber Monday deals. For me, I didn't feel like buying anything, honestly. I was too busy acknowledging my tribal chief, James.
is that it? Is that what it was? Okay.
So it is what it is. Let's talk about someone who is no longer. I mean, gonna have more time to do some shopping, probably. Let's talk about Big Swole, as she is known as. I don't think she's that swole, but
well, that's what I think of when I think of Big and Swole. Like,
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. I just don't know where she got the name from, but all right, she wants to go by that. So let's see, Big Swole here. I'm trying to get her Twitter. You can follow her at Swole World. This was a day ago.
Okay, background information real quick. Isn't she the girlfriend of somebody?
She is married to Cedric Alexander in WWE.
That's right. Okay.
Who was in WWE. So she left a statement, posted a statement on Twitter yesterday, as of this recording. So this was Tuesday. I'm going to, read all of it. It's not too long. So this is it. Over the past couple of months, my life has taken on the mantra, grow, learn, change. Dealing with shadow work took strength I didn't know I had. I thank God for my loving family because they got me through some of the roughest months of my life. But I realized the real test is application. So I took my lead, and after speaking with TK, who I assume is Tony Khan, and AEW higher officials, we've decided not to renew my contract with All Elite Wrestling. This is a hard decision, but a needed one. I'm grateful for their understanding and that we can mutually come to this agreement. I've enjoyed my time with AEW and wish them all the best. I appreciate their love and welcoming me into the family. Today is my last day, and as bittersweet as it is, I am proud to say that I lived my dreams while making a difference. That is swole mentality. And then the flex emoji. So, yeah, like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, contract not renewed. I was under the impression, before we talk about it more, the AEW contracts were 3-year contracts. So,
well, yeah, but at the same time, you have to stagger them out. So there's no way they could have all been 3 years. And even if you're signing someone 1 week, signing someone the next week, yada, 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 you're still not like, they have to be staggered out, because then if you have everybody, all at once, then that gets messy.
yeah.
So, sure, maybe a lot of the bigger name talents maybe all kind of had that similar, 3-year contract, but, I would imagine maybe not so much for some of the other talent. But was she there from the beginning?
I believe she was. Her probably claim to fame is against Britt Baker. They had a feud, and I think they had like one of those cinematic matches at a dentist office. So after that, I think she basically was barely on TV. I know apparently she was battling with Crohn's disease. So I'm not too familiar with that, but I'm sure it takes a lot out of you. And so she hasn't been really consistent on television over the last several months. So I'm sure that had a play in the decision of her ultimately not staying with the company.
Now, does this play into your, I'm assuming the tweet that you're referring to about
TK now renewing contracts?
Yeah.
Yeah. Potentially.
Was there others, or or is this
I don't know. It could be the start. It could be the start of some, potentially. I mean, with all these new signees earlier over the last couple of months, especially.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've mentioned it yourself. Eventually, you got to start cutting people. I mean, you might have the money for it, but yeah, I mean, I'm not saying you're going to release them, like WWE. But when
Right.
contracts come up, you're probably not going to renew a lot of those contracts.
Yeah, I mean, and that's that's the interesting thing. And also kind of the hard thing, especially with it being the holiday season, right? But I think the thing that's interesting, so obviously for those who don't know, I cover UCLA football as a reporter for the Orange County Register. And, the regular season just ended, right? But they did win enough games to have a bowl game sometime in the end of December here. So there's a couple weeks leading up to that. So right after the last game on Sunday or on Saturday, where we started to see, and this is the case obviously with a lot of different schools, colleges, football programs, where a lot of players leave the school for one reason or another to explore other opportunities through the transfer portal. And the reason why I bring this up is because obviously as new coaches come in, new people come in, other people want to transfer, yada, 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 whatever the reason is. But a lot of the statements that kind of come out from some of these college players are like, oh, I decided it's in my best interest, or things didn't work out the way I wanted them to. And it kind of makes it seem like they may have made the decision to want to transfer. But I think even sometimes behind the scenes, there's an understanding. Again, this is why I bring it up, to where it's like, hey, we no longer have a place for you on the roster, or there's no, or the new coach says, hey, you don't fit our system or where we're trying to go going forward. So, we don't think we can continue to acknowledge your scholarship, some stuff like that. And that obviously that's not the case for everybody. Some people do decide to leave, or there's circumstances or personal reasons or whatever. But yeah, it's just interesting because all the ones I read make it out like it was their decision, and maybe it has been, but for some, it won't always have been their decision. But sometimes it's the matter of the coach saying, hey, there won't be a spot here for you, or we think more or less they get future endeavored. So I feel like, that may not definitely be the case with Big Swole here, but I think eventually, as we see some other contracts start being decided one way or another, I think it'll be kind of that trimming of the fat, or some of that cutting down on the roster. Decisions will be made, obviously, as they start adding some names or some other folks that they want to kind of get into their rotation. You might start seeing some of these original AEW contracts not being renewed and whatnot. So that's just kind of where I've been looking at it. And that's kind of maybe the first thing that came to mind, especially as you read that statement. Now, again, it totally may have been a mutual decision or whatever the case may have been. But, I'm sure as we start seeing some of these others going forward, they're going to say it was their decision or it was a mutual decision, but it may have just been AEW saying they didn't want to renew the contracts. So we'll see how it goes.
That's true. We've got I know we've got NXT TakeOver, not even TakeOver anymore, NXT War Games coming up this weekend. Still a little behind, a couple episodes behind, but I did watch a few episodes this week. Very impressed. Very impressed with the show. Go ahead.
Could we talk about the moment of last night? You may not watch the whole show. You don't have to watch the whole show.
LA Knight cutting an incredible promo.
No, stop.
You see the Twitter?
No.
You actually gotta watch.
No,
it's really good.
That wasn't the biggest moment though. No. I watched some of it, but if LA Knight was on my TV, I would have turned it off.
It was a post show.
No, it was Braun Breaker hitting the Frankensteiner.
God.
And then the
Halloween Havoc, didn't he?
It doesn't matter. Listen, just listen. And then the NXT Twitter account going out of their way to tweet the Frankensteiner highlight and saying the big bad booty nephew, Braun Breaker.
Didn't Gargano? I think Gargano called him the big bad booty nephew.
He might have, but the NXT account was running with it. And I found it kind of interesting because it's kind of like you're further acknowledging that he's the son of a Steiner brother.
They're referencing everything except mentioning that he's related to the Steiner brother.
And So do it already. But I saw some of the replies, and I guess maybe it would make sense that maybe like I don't know if copyright. Maybe they can't use it for some reason, but if it's his like, I mean, I don't know if the Steiners own the rights to their name. I mean, well, it's not their real name. Steiner isn't.
Is it not?
Huh?
Is it not?
It's not. No, it's not. I think it's like part of like a bigger name for their last name. Like their last name isn't Steiner. Like in real life, it's like I don't know. It's like something else, but I may be wrong.
Rex Steiner.
Yeah, it's something like that.
So it's like Rex. It's Rex Steiner. So
Rex
Steiner's real name is Rex Steiner.
Who's Rex? Is Rex Rick?
Yeah.
Or Rick's Rex?
No, Rex is Braun.
Right. So, right. That's what I was saying. Yeah.
So Rex Steiner.
So I think there's something like that maybe they can't use the name, or just WWE in general. They're not going to use the real name for that reason. They want to have a name that they can own and
of course
and push, obviously. So that might just be it at the end of the day. But yeah, I just thought it was great that they mentioned the big bad booty nephew there, and I think it sticks. So
you think it's 6?
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, there's a 33 and a third chance that it does.
Didn't they use that promo a couple weeks ago too?
Actually, Corey Graves mentioned it on.
He mentioned Raw. It. Yeah, he did mention it on Raw.
Too. He did mention on Raw. He said it to somebody, and someone like kind of brushed it off, like yeah or something. The triple threat. He mentioned it to your guy Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins didn't take the bait on it.
Well, no, he's a professional. Speaking of Seth Rollins, what a great episode of Raw he was on. He's been on a roll lately. We're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about this past week's episode of Raw after the break. But when we return, we'll do that. We'll maybe throw a party because
we'll talk about
this past weekend. We'll
do that.
Roman Reigns again. We'll talk about more LA Knight and cutting a fantastic promo. I might recreate it right here. I
don't know how I feel about this show.
It's great. This show is gonna be the most viewed episode of Beyond the Ropes.
Oh no!
In history.
Maybe.
So once again, we'll talk about that and much more right here on episode 171 of Beyond the Ropes. We are 22S Radio. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 88.1 FM, KKJZ HD3, Long Beach, Los Angeles. Welcome back to episode 171 of Beyond the Ropes. I'm your host, Ethan, joined alongside the analyst, James Williams, producer, Rob Flores, and of course, you can find us on Twitter at RealBTR Radio. Individually, you can find me at Ethan MP95. You can follow James at
JHW Reporter.
And you can follow Rob at
Rob Flores Media. Don't forget the art again for Ethan.
Failed to capture that 24/7 championship once again. So he hasn't had it in months. It's kind of depressing. Maybe it's time.
Maybe they realized, he was kind of maybe too far ahead with the most title reigns, and they need Charlotte to try and catch up a little bit here.
It might be Dana Brooke that gets that record. Or Reggie at this point, I don't know.
Oh, for the 24, I thought you meant in general. Okay. I mean,
Charlotte might end up being a 35-time champion when it's all said and done. We'll have to wait and see for that.
They might have to keep her happy.
Yeah. Facebook.com/Beyond the Ropes. And of course, YouTube. Just search up Beyond the Ropes and you'll see our pretty faces. And you can acknowledge us over on the YouTube. Of course, speaking of somewhat, long title reigns or several title reigns, someone who may not be getting several more title reigns, the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, sir. Did you hear the promo last week?
No, what did it say? That he was never giving up the title, therefore there would be no reason for multiple title reigns?
Well, there's that. He might just retire as champion. That might be he's going to surpass
Please.
at this point. So Forget about your Spotify Wraps here. We're going to talk about we're going to acknowledge your tribal chief today, but he mentioned that he may not be there much longer. Hollywood's calling his name, James.
Oh,
Hollywood is calling his name. He mentioned that in a promo. Well, he didn't say Hollywood specifically, but he said he may not be there for much longer. So it's kind of a subtle thing too. He mentioned it, but I think some people on Twitter did pick it up. So
I mean, maybe
gonna
he's
be
scared
the biggest star in Hollywood. I mean,
maybe he's just scared of a returning Brock Lesnar.
I don't think so. Brock's supposed to come back this week.
Yes.
Rumored he's supposed to be there in LA too. December 10th.
I would imagine.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. But you gotta appreciate Roman Reigns while we have him, James. We'll get you a
Isn't he
bloodline.
like, how old is he? I mean, yeah, he can go do a movie, but
I mean, Batista started old. He was like 45.
no, I mean, I'm not even. I guess the age thing doesn't really matter. I mean, I guess it's just
Roman Reigns could have his own Fast and Furious franchise. He was already in that sequel.
no.
You know?
You don't need any more of any Fast and Furious anything. Weren't they already in outer space? Like,
I think the last one they went to outer space or something.
I stopped watching like 3 Fast and Furiouses ago, but no, I'm sure he'll be in some movies. I kind of saw that one where he did with The Rock as kind of like what The Rock was when he did the first Mummy movie, where he kind of was like a co-star or just
and this
had a little segment.
This was pre-Tribal Chief. You know, he's only gotten better since then. You know, give him some character work and he'll deliver.
No, that's true.
He's no Bret Hart. You know, he doesn't need to like struggle here to cut a decent promo or, you know, fill a character role.
Yeah, but Bret Hart also didn't need a manager.
He really could have used one. I mean, they could have taken a manager, could have helped him with the Montreal Screwdriver.
So hey, let's say okay. So maybe even if he did have a manager, maybe he would have benefited. And maybe he had Jimmy Hart for part of his career. Rob, you're right in the chat. I'm not denying that, but I think at the end of the day, for everything that Bret Hart has accomplished, maybe he would have only done that much better if he had one. But with that being said, the fact that he didn't have a manager and he went as far as he did, better than anything Roman Reigns has done. Anyways,
debatable. I don't know about that.
Speaking of legends and whatnot, did you see The Undertaker did an interview with Kevin Hart. I did not watch the full interview, but it is on my queue to watch later. But one thing that did stand out from that was The Undertaker did give his Mount Rushmore. Did you guys see that, hear that?
He sure did. I didn't see it, but I saw the comments. Yes, they tweeted it.
So the Undertaker has on his Mount Rushmore, and I guess it maybe, I don't know if it's surprising, but he had Andre the Giant, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, and HBK. Now that I think about it, it's interesting for 2 reasons, because I think, or I would have maybe thought there would have been 2 others that could have been on his list, but maybe I can understand why they're not, or maybe I don't know. I guess maybe I'm a little surprised by the list, but your thoughts?
Who were the other 2? Was it IRS?
These are just 2. These are. Did you say? You say IRS and the Brooklyn Brawler? No. Okay, so these are just people I'm just assuming I would have maybe thought he would have put on there. I thought maybe Ric Flair would have been on there.
I think Ric Flair was originally on his list.
On what? Based on the interview?
Like the Mount Rushmore, like he's mentioned Flair.
Like in the past, you're talking
about. Well, yeah, in the past.
Right. And it could have just been, well, I was thinking like what context it could have been, but with Andre the Giant on there, I don't know. But I mean, maybe I can understand maybe why someone like Kane isn't on there, just because again, that Attitude Era is so stacked, and that's where so many of the people on his Mount Rushmore are from. But then he doesn't have Mick Foley on there either, which I thought, again, I mean, it says the list or whatever. I just thought maybe he would have put him on there, but it's not. I mean, no one really does, so I guess I can see that, but I don't know. But he had The Rock. I mean, you can't go wrong with the names that he had on there, honestly.
Absolutely not.
So, I mean, maybe he could have put Bret Hart on there, but
No, he chose, the better person of the mid-90s.
I don't know about that. Anyways,
Face of the 90s. I mean,
just remember, Shawn Michaels had a manager. Anyways, what
a couple managers.
a couple managers actually, yeah. But yeah, do you agree with the list? Do you think there's anybody that should have been on it, or?
I mean, I'm never going to disagree with Shawn Michaels being on any of the greatest all-time lists. So there's one. He's hanging out over here, under Triple H right here in the Funko stack. The Rock is not a bad choice. I got him here as well. He's another one of my favorites, so that's not a bad choice. He's obviously made quite a name for himself elsewhere. By the way, The Rock, congratulations to him. Red Notice is the #1 movie of Netflix of all time, like the most viewed movie of all time.
Really?
So, yeah, it's that egg segment with Vince. Those egg segments worked. They paid off.
I definitely don't think it was the egg segment.
They paid off. I think people WWE Universe watched it.
I didn't know that movie was going to be that good.
It was pretty good. I saw it over the weekend. I enjoyed it. It looked like they're maybe setting up for a sequel. Obviously, being the most viewed movie, is probably going to get a sequel.
I imagine so.
So, I mean, good action, funny moments. So I think it's a very enjoyable film.
Okay.
Let's see, what else do we have? We had, you said it was, Austin.
Austin's
Austin's going to be on most people's list for the Mount Rushmore, I would think, just because of the way he changed the Attitude Era. Changed the business as a whole. And then Andre the Giant is a little surprising, but not terribly surprising. Obviously, The Undertaker being a big guy. Is that not surprising he would have a big guy on his list. I guess heard that he was a huge Andre fan, but maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe he mentioned it at one point.
Oh, I think he has. I don't know if they've ever met, and I think too, it's kind of like, you talk about great big men, or you talk about, everyone talked about The Undertaker as a locker room leader and kind of being that guy. I think to some regard, a lot of people think of Andre the Giant in that regard. And a lot of people actually it was kind of like where that Undertaker mystique and, both on and off, both in and out of the ring. A lot of people kind of have that same thing about Andre the Giant too, I guess. But I was maybe more surprised about Shawn Michaels, maybe just because I know they've kind of butted heads a few times, and Undertaker's had to be very stern with HBK and making sure HBK did the right thing in some occasions.
I mean, in the 90s, yeah. But I mean, if you watch any interview with Taker over the last few years, the number of interviews he's done over the last few years, he's always said, Shawn's one of the greatest.
Sure.
And he obviously the matches at WrestleMania, those pair of matches, and then the story with, moving on with Triple H and Hell in a Cell and all that, like he's regarded Shawn as one of the best. So that's not terribly surprising for me.
Sure. I mean, even with Stone Cold, I think Stone Cold would have HBK on his list, or I've heard his Mount Rushmore several times before, but
he said greatest in-ring performer,
right? But I think he has Ric Flair overall, but
overall as an overall performer, so.
Yeah, but and I think, wasn't it the whole thing of Michaels didn't want to drop the title to Austin? I think that might have been the thing, or I think he was I think isn't that what the Undertaker was out there for? Not out there, but he was waiting by the curtain for it, because they didn't know what was going to happen.
They didn't know if Shawn was going to drop the title,
but his back was hurting so bad, and
like Bret Hart, who didn't want to do the job, to Shawn, And
Hey,
then
he
got
was
a
willing
monstrous
to
huge mug.
compromise. They didn't want to talk about it. Don't try and
They
rewrite
tried to do
history.
business, and he didn't want to do it.
He was trying to do business too.
He was trying to walk out with the title, sir.
No, he wasn't. He was going to go on Monday Night Raw the next day and drop it then.
I don't know about that. We'll never
He just
know.
wanted to.
We'll never know.
I know what would have happened. Bret Hart.
You know?
what
Oh,
happened.
you know Brett personally. You would have talked to
I
him.
do. We're buds. And then trying to think what else has happened. Okay, thoughts. So have you watched or kept up with Raw for the most part?
I have. Very good episode of Raw this past week.
No, and I've heard the same thing too about it being a great episode of Raw, and I've caught some of it, and I've the slap heard around the world this week, I guess, with Austin Theory taking a slap. But I guess my question to you is what are your thoughts on and this is coming off of some of a lot more of these releases and stuff, having Vince back on the TV the way that we have in multiple weeks here, and obviously for me, like, to see him get physical the way he did, slapping Austin Theory and the way Austin Theory was looking around and he said, "Don't look over there." Just, I don't know. It was just kind of nice to see Vince kind of interacting a little bit. And I think a lot of people don't see him for a while. So there's this thing where he's like, oh, he's old or he doesn't know what he's doing. But for me, it's kind of like he's out there and I think that's great.
I mean, no one's ever going to boo Vince. I mean, back then, yes, when he was.
Yeah.
If he's doing heelish things, then yes. But, you had him show up at Survivor Series. You obviously had the superstars clapping and cheering. And then obviously you hear the crowd reaction. They were happy to see him. And then they were surprised to see him this week because, they thought, okay, the whole egg segment ended. That promotion ended. And so, okay, he's not going to be on TV. And they showed up again just unexpectedly on, backstage segments, but he was there. And he did them with Austin Theory. And you mentioned releases and stuff. And we'll talk about, them referencing releases a few times because they did do that on a few different promos this past week. But Vince appearing, I think, is good, especially for someone like Austin Theory. Vince isn't going to do anything with you and not have, high value, not think of you in a high value type of way. So,
yeah, that's definitely it's a push one way, or a rub, not a push, but maybe it's a rub, if anything.
It's a big push,
I would say.
Sure. And he was teaching him a lesson, basically. He was telling him the entire time, expect the unexpected, basically. He's like, he kept, after every few segments, whatever, he's like, did you think, say, AJ Styles was going to do that or whatever? Because, AJ was being a menace over there. I don't know if you saw that, but it was great.
But if you say never say never, expect the unexpected, I think by sometime next year, Austin Theory is the guy who dethrones Roman Reigns.
That would be interesting. I don't see it happening. But
crazier things have happened. No, but well, we have like 2 minutes before our next commercial break. I was going to mention another superstar who appears to be getting a bit of a push, but I think it needs a little bit more time because it involves someone close to Seth Rollins, so we could talk a little bit more about that after. We also have, yes, it does involve her. We have some numbers and stuff to talk about. But can we just talk real quick about how ugly another outfit was for Seth Rollins this week? What was up with those red glasses?
Great. Have you seen his suit? It was like a pink suit. Look, see those giant glasses? He and
ugly.
Becky have immaculate taste, first off. Phenomenal. I need to talk to their designer. I did see that video of the designer getting
you did see it. Okay.
With the security, yeah, because of the
But I don't know if that's the designer or not.
Oh, you don't know?
I know
looked like
that's what
he
someone
passed,
said.
though.
I mean, he did look stylish. I mean, don't
He
get me
did look
wrong.
stylish. I mean,
He did look stylish. I mean, he looked important. Whoever it was, he looked important.
Yeah.
Real quick before we go to commercial break here, and you can send us out here. But what are your thoughts on the Miz coming back?
Oh, we're gonna talk about that.
Are we going to talk more about it? Okay.
That's
I
the 20 best minutes of
You think so?
promo of the last 20 years. Not that
Well, you
other
say-
stuff on.
I
Not
mean-
that other stuff on Dynamite. No. This stuff. The 20 best minutes. You know, I don't know what people are talking about. But we'll talk about more Seth Rollins. We'll talk about the Miz, and another big return. There's another big return along with the Miz. We'll talk about their huge comeback right here on episode 171 of Beyond the Ropes. We are 22S Radio. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 88.1 FM, KKJZ HD3, Long Beach, Los Angeles. Welcome back to episode 171 of Beyond the Ropes. I'm your host, Ethan, alongside the analyst, James Williams, and producer, Rob Flores. You can find us on Twitter at RealBTR Radio. Let's get into some Monday Night Raw, shall we? I'm going to assume the person you're talking about getting a push is on Monday Night Raw.
Say this again.
The person that you're mentioning is potentially getting a push is on Monday Night Raw.
This is true. Yes, it is.
So stop me when we get to that person, because I think I know who you're talking about.
Mhm.
But do you have numbers for before we get into?
Yeah, I do have numbers, and you did mention Monday Night Raw, so we'll start there first. 1.68 million for Monday Night Raw this past week. SmackDown again leading the way with 2.15 million. Didn't get the NXT numbers, obviously, with NXT just happening last night as this was recorded. Didn't get that one in time. But AEW Dynamite with 198,000. So, you know, they're kind of getting close there with that million mark. And then
What was that?
400. What was that?
What was the Dynamite one?
Dynamite was 898,000.
Oh, 898. Okay.
And then Rampage pulling up the rear once again with 431,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
They've fallen. But once again, give it up for the Bloodline.
Are you giving them credit for it?
Leading the charge. We the ones. Throwing up that, you can't see it in the screen, but it's up there.
I wonder if, well, I think a lot, I mean, yes, fine. The Roman Reigns probably has part in it. But
Did you know, I don't know if I mentioned this last week. His YouTube clip of the Tonight Show got more views than Taylor Swift's appearance on the Tonight Show.
I did not know that, and I'm actually a little surprised to hear that. I mean, I knew he was on there.
It's also actually one of the, I don't know if it's the most viewed of like the week for the Tonight Show, but it's definitely up there as well.
Didn't he?
Roman
He said
Reigns is the
something.
draw.
I think, didn't he say something funny? I think he did.
Well, he's a
I can't
funny
remember
guy.
what he said. Oh no, my mom was telling me about it because my mom said she watched it and she kind of invited Jimmy Fallon to kind of get in the ring there, but Jimmy Fallon, sounds like he declined that offer.
Well,
what I
he's
heard.
scared. I probably declined the offer too. I want to get in the ring with Roman Reigns. Very
I
scared.
mean, I wouldn't. I'd be his partner.
I mean, I'd be his partner, exactly. Well, now you would acknowledge him. You'd have to acknowledge him if you want to be his partner.
But then I won't be his partner.
Well, then good luck being on the other side, pal.
I'm not afraid of Roman Reigns.
I think you are. I think you should
Look,
be.
I've seen Roman Reigns in person. I briefly talked to him. I sized him up and everything.
This was before the Tribal Chief. This is before he went up
The-
a couple levels. There are
he didn't get any.
levels.
I mean, he didn't get any taller. He
I
was
mean,
already
no, he
champion.
didn't.
To
He got
me, he's no
scarier.
different now than he was then.
He's a global phenomenon now.
That's great. All you gotta do is get him at the knees once, and then everyone's the same size.
Oh, okay. All right. If you think so.
You don't agree?
I mean, I guess, but you got to hit them really hard. And those aren't just like, some Joe Schmo's knees, some Bret Hart knees. Those Roman Reigns, those legs are thick. Those Samoan
Okay.
legs. Good luck trying to get a chop block in there.
It's fair. All right. Let's go ahead and let's talk about Monday Night Raw.
Let's talk about Raw. Show kicked off with the drip god himself, Seth frickin' Rollins, officially announcing at WWE Day 1, January 1st, 2022, he will be challenging Big E for the WWE Championship. We're going to see a new champion. About time. Big E, I'm glad he got his moment.
There's no way.
I'm glad.
There's no way.
He had a nice little run. I respect that he's wearing Seinfeld gear. Last week I mentioned he changed his gear. No, he did get new gear because he wore one specifically for Survivor Series, but then he wore another one on Raw. It is a Festivus-themed gear, which is fantastic.
So, I thought it was. Didn't he have Seinfeld on again, though?
Yeah, they were both Seinfeld gear. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So this one was Festivus-themed. Looks like he's going to wear that out. I love it.
Which is interesting.
I would buy it.
Now, I mean, I haven't seen any interaction between Seinfeld and Big E, but I would imagine that's possible in the near future because Big E is friends with Wale, and Wale had Seinfeld on his album and on one of his albums, and they're buddies to some degree, I would imagine. So I would say never say never.
Maybe we see Big E on an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm next season or something, which is a Larry David show, obviously, co-creator of Seinfeld. So that would be fun. But let's see. Seth Rollins had a match against the extraordinary Finn Balor. Anytime these two collide, this is going to be a fantastic match. Don't know what else to say about it other than Seth Rollins got the better of Finn and hit that stomp to get the victory. No one attacked him this week. So
I was going to say, didn't he cheat?
I don't see how. I mean, maybe a little thumb to the eye, but it's nothing wrong with that. The referee didn't see it.
Maybe a little thumb to the eye. All right.
I mean, in the replay, it didn't look like he got him, so I don't think it's.
No, he might have missed, huh?
Might have missed, so it's all right. He got the victory. He got that rolling elbow he's been using to set up the stomp, so good enough there. Solid match. Next up, we had Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan, the contract signing.
Yeah. Now, was this the same? Because they had a match later.
They had a match later.
We'll get into that later. Okay. Yeah, actually, go ahead and talk about this segment, and then I'll share some of my thoughts.
All right. So basically, Big Time Bex came out looking great as ever, looking as good as Seth Rollins. Not surprisingly, they got their dresser probably backstage setting them up and everything. So,
I mean, apparently not. If he's back here, not in the stands, ready to attack people. Maybe he's, I don't know if he's backstage status yet.
Probably travels with them, maybe because they got a bus. He probably takes care of the child.
They're doing the Randy Orton. Randy Orton.
Yeah, they
thing?
travel with their daughter, so there you go.
Sense. That's interesting.
Big Time Beck signs the contract. She taunts Morgan, revealing that next Monday night on Raw, we're going to get that women's championship match. So old Liv isn't important enough to get that pay-per-view title match. She's got to have it on Raw, but that's fine. I'm sure it'll be a solid match. Big Time Bex will probably carry her to a good match. As that family typically does carry their opponents, to a higher quality match.
You're out of hands there.
I don't know what you're talking about. Becky then insulted the town by insulting the Islanders, I believe, which they sound terrible. So, I mean, I don't blame her for saying that.
She's doing the cheap pop.
She's doing the cheap pop.
The reverse cheap pop.
It literally says cheap heat here. It's cheap heat. So, in the notes. Morgan then told her to shut up and then threw a few insults of her own, including saying, it was her greedy contract is the reason that her Liv's friends are no longer there. So a little reference saying Ruby and Sarah Logan no longer with the company, kind of there. Which I don't know. I don't know if Becky's the one to blame for that, but they used it, I guess. They got a little ovation there. So a fight almost broke out. I will say they did play a clip of Becky Lynch crying after her match with Charlotte, kind of cutting a promo. It was a good promo, and Morgan used that against Becky, and then that led to a fight, almost a fight, or a little brawl. And then it was announced that 10-woman tag team match later on in the evening. So solid stuff there. Did you have any?
Well, I'm so I guess I'm just curious too. Like, I mean, it seems, I mean, I guess it's kind of almost like what's going on with NXT, right? But I think it's just kind of nice to see them at least trying to get some other faces in the mix. I mean, Liv Morgan's been there for a while, and I think it's something even like my dad, for example, who's just a casual WWE fan and is kind of watching it and whatnot. Even he kind of noticed, like, hey, Liv Morgan's been around for a long time, and it looks like they're finally doing something with her, and they're getting some different people kind of in that spot there. And I think, maybe that shows a little bit of a vote of confidence for Liv, that they're kind of able to have her in the ring with Becky. And I mean, do I think she's going to beat Becky for a title or anything? Probably not. But, I just think it is nice that they are kind of giving someone else an opportunity. Like, I mean, especially at this point in her career, I'm kind of surprised to see them finally go to Liv for something like this. But yeah, I think it's kind of well deserved in that regard. And based on what we saw later in the night, looks like she was able to kind of hold her own. And I even saw a tweet. I think it was Ross Sapp, I forget the name, who said that this match was held in pretty high regard by those in the back. So we'll talk about it a little bit later.
Rob mentioned Scotty Tuhati. We talked about no one getting released. Well, technically, he did request his release, as he posted on Instagram, saying he never wanted to do anything for just a paycheck. I guess he felt like he was doing that for just a paycheck, being a coach in a performance center. So it looks like he is no longer with the company. Very unfortunate. I enjoy following him on Instagram. He always goes out to Disney World and Universal and all those events and stuff. So best of luck to him. Apparently, he did book his first appearance, so good for him. Moving on to back to Monday Night Raw. Next segment, RK Bro versus the Dirty Dogs. Anytime you get these guys in a tag match, it's going to be fantastic. But yeah, it's a great match. Randy Orton breaking another record, having the most matches on Monday Night Raw.
Oh, there you go. And I don't think he's like close to retiring or anything. You know what I mean? I feel like there's still a lot left in the tank for one Randall Keith Orton. I think he'll be around for a couple more years. I don't think he's someone who necessarily is going to be taking the Hollywood route and being in movies and stuff. I mean, obviously he's had some WWE films, blockbusters, without a doubt. But
12 rounds too.
Is that what it was? Was that the only one he was in?
Legendary? No, that was Cena.
He was in the Marine 7 or something.
No, he didn't do the
was
Marines.
Or maybe that was the Miz. Anyways, but I think there's still a lot left for him to do if he wants to. So
I think he might surpass Flair's record
for the titles thing. What is he at now? Is he at 10?
He's at 9. He's at 14. 13.
Oh wait, Ric Flair's 14.
Flair's 16. Well, Cena and Flair tied at 16.
So you're saying 2 more title reigns?
2 or 3?
Maybe 1.
We'll see.
How about 2?
Go 2.
I don't know if they want to hitch their wagon to Randy Orton.
What do you mean?
As the top guy. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it or he shouldn't be.
He's been consistent. He's been very consistent his entire run.
He's been consistent. I heard his leadership has been a lot better in the locker room, obviously over recent years, but I don't know. He kind of did hit 3 strikes not that long ago.
That was like 10 years ago.
No, it wasn't.
Pretty sure it
It
was.
might have been 10 years ago, I guess. Again, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I mean, he hasn't done anything too crazy. He doesn't get in trouble to, he hasn't gotten canceled. So yeah,
No, he hasn't, surprisingly.
You said it, not me.
No, but he's been much
yeah.
better as of over the last few years. So
Yeah.
for sure. Next up, Edge returns once again. Excited to face new challenges, and we get an even bigger return in The Miz and Maurice. Miz coming back off his little hiatus from Dancing with the Stars. They basically come out, they attack Edge for basically getting a comeback every time he goes away and them not getting anything. And then Edge kind of gives him credit. He acknowledges The Miz, some would say, by stating other people on other shows are mentioning your name just to get a cheap reaction.
Yeah, but did you watch that, or did you?
I didn't watch
from Punk, and
I didn't watch the Punk MJF
because I know that was held as like the greatest
20 minutes of the last 20 years. That was that probably was Meltzer or something. I don't know who said that. But yeah, I'm like, I didn't watch it, but I heard that little line where they mentioned The Miz. I think Punk called MJF a less famous Miz or less talented Miz, something like that. And then, but no, I love the way Edge used it without directly mentioning anyone's name. And then Miz just gave a nice smirk. But no, I like how he listed his accomplishments and then basically stated, he gets all that because of respect. And so it looks like we're going to get getting a feud between The Miz and Edge at some point, perhaps WWE Day 1. So.
I mean, someone different for Edge other than Seth Rollins at this point.
He gave credit to Seth Rollins. That's right before, like at the very beginning, he said, Seth is now the number one contender for the WWE Championship, and he deserves it. He's been killing it lately. So he actually gave credit to Rollins. So,
he's being nice.
He's a drip god. Edge also mentioned Morrison, kind of saying, "Oh, you went out to Dancing with Stars and left your friends to get fired, your partner to get fired."
That's tough.
Yeah, Morrison did tweet it out. Seems to be in like a character, so he seemed to be a good sport about it. So,
well, I mean, it's kind of part of it, but I think some people were saying like it was a whole thing, like there was like backlash behind it, right?
There was some people, I guess, with the whole Liv Morgan thing and the Edge kind of referencing the releases, like it's kind of a cheap shot. But it's real life, unfortunately. Can't really ignore it.
I mean, they'd be silly. Yeah, exactly.
If you just these people just never show up on TV again, it's like, well, where'd they go? So I thought this was great. I thought Miz cut his promo very well, and then Edge cut his promo very well. So I don't know how it compared to the other one over there. Still need to watch that, but it is what it is. Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins took on the Alpha Academy. AJ Styles was blinded after last week. I don't know if you saw AJ Styles wearing sunglasses, needing some help to the ring.
I didn't.
Apparently, it was a ruse. He was not blinded. It was a miracle, actually. That's Corey Graves said it. So,
of course,
he got his eyesight back, but unfortunately for him, Street Profits still prevailed. We've got a minute here, so we're running low. Basically, Big E versus Seth Rollins has now been changed into a triple threat match, as Kevin Owens has been involved. He got himself involved in the title picture. May potentially be his last match with the company. I don't know. Maybe there to take the pinfall there. So, but next week, this upcoming weekend, we got War Games. We'll give our predictions over on the Twitter.
I'll give it right now. Braun Breaker is going to win.
I got to go with black and gold here. But until next time, this episode of Beyond the Ropes has been 2 Sweet.